Yeah. This is a podcast of Nathan, Nat and Sean.
Let's go.
Hi, everybody.
G'day.
We've got Irish comedian David O'Doherty on the podcast today.
Yeah. Also, we talk about when you cleaned up, what you found. Pretty good stories.
There was a bit of a chit-chat about eggs earlier on too. We might chuck that in there because I'm sure everyone has an opinion.
Yeah.
That's a great point.
Christopher Pyne. He likes to fly up the pointy end of the plane.
He's got some very specific needs, doesn't he?
Yep.
We talk to people who manage to do impressive things with a baby in one arm.
Yeah, and Johnny Depp and Amber Heard sound like a wonderful couple. I don't know why they broke up. We discuss.
This is Nathan, Nat and Sean.
So last night on the project, Christopher Pyne was a co-host.
Say his name properly.
Christopher Pyne.
Thank
Christopher
you.
Pyne.
Was a co-host, and as you know, he's left politics. And
I think we found him a little bit intriguing and funny when he was in it, but even more so when he's out of it.
Yeah, that's right.
Oh yeah, because now he doesn't really care what comes out of his mouth.
Yeah,
and,
that's right.
He was talking about the rows that he prefers to sit in while on a flight. This is what he had to say.
I like to be in like 5 or 4 or 2 because I don't like being in 1. If you're in row 1, everyone hates you.
I'm always back at 24.
Yeah,
I'm like, what are these
when I
rows?
left politics, I went through the curtains and I said, who knew there were so many seats? I was being teased by all these punters and I said, who knew? There's like 50 rows back here. Wow.
Yeah, there's livestock down the back where we normally sit. You know who you used
That's so surprising, isn't it, that he didn't know how many seats are back there, and even more surprising that he's a straight man.
I mean, is he?
He says he is. That's
People
how he
can-
identifies.
People can
I'm
be
fine
whatever
with
they
that.
want.
He's dead right,
You
though.
identify with how you identify.
When you walk past the first person sitting in the first row, you
Yes.
hate them to death, don't you? You know what?
Unless you're on a Jetstar flight, because you know they've only paid an extra $50 to be there.
That's right.
That's why when I was on a flight overseas, I was like, well, I can't remember where we were going, but it was a Jetstar flight.
Yeah.
And Mum, I paid the extra for me and Mum and Dad to sit in the first few rows.
Yep.
And I think it was Troy Buswell was catching the same flight, and he went down the back, and there was still separate flights around us. And I went, why didn't you pay the extra $60?
You told us.
What is it at the back of a Jetstar flight for? Obviously, taxpayers aren't paying for this flight.
Yeah, clearly.
And he didn't. And I was so confused. Why wouldn't you pay for the extra leg room up the front? Is that not strange?
That is,
Baffling.
yeah.
The one
Strange.
time that I was in the first row, so I'd used points to upgrade. I was going to Melbourne, and I was literally just going for the weekend, so I only had carry-on. I'm like, I'm going to be off this plane so quick and out the door, and because I was meeting friends for dinner, and so I'm like, this is so great. I'm in row 1. So I've lived the life, business class.
For sure.
Thinking, I'm so great. Get off the plane. Got my bag. I'm shooting down, and I go to call my friends to say I'm on my way. I left my phone on the plane. It took me another hour. I had to go back through security.
Yeah.
I then had to go back to the gate to find, and there was no one there. It was completely abandoned. And I'm like, ugh. So then I went to, I found a Qantas desk somewhere, and I'm like, had to explain to them that I had left my phone on this plane. They said, you need to go back to the gate and just wait for somebody to turn up. And then eventually somebody turns up, I left my phone on the plane. And the guy goes, no problem. And he went and got it. But it was a good hour it took for that process. And I'm like, well, that missed dinner, the whole thing ruined.
Yeah.
Row 1 ruined
Row
for
1.
me forever.
Never sit there again.
Book smarter these holidays.
With whatif.com, you can book everything for your trip all in one place.
Plus, select hotels are fully refundable. Booking cancellation windows apply. Make up for missed holidays with What If? It's Aussie for travel. Check government advisories before booking and travelling.
Oh, I want to talk about this guy in the UK. There's this old bloke that's been living in the house. Apparently a very nice, polite man. Mm-hmm. Does a bit of charity work around the place. No one knows him too well. This is in Kent. Over the past 12 years, the house that he lives in has become overrun with vines, shrubs and trees. It's gotten so wild that the postman won't even stop there and deliver mail because he says that it's dangerous, obviously, because the vine's going to grab him and suck him in.
Sure.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
So really, when you look at the front of the house, it is just like,
It's a jungle
just
out there.
shrubs.
The fittest survive.
Yeah, Sean. Yeah. So finally, it's been cleaned up. I think it was the council order, so they've got a team of people around there cleaning it up.
Oh,
and
cool.
In the front of the yard where everyone has been walking for the past 12 years, they discovered a van, a car, and a truck.
Nobody knew were there.
That was covered. People saw the back of the van, right? So they knew there was a van there, but they didn't know that there was a car and a truck in there as well.
If your front garden is hiding 3 vehicles, I would suggest it's it's gotten a little out of hand.
People were
That's
very,
amazing.
very surprised.
Yes.
Of
Yeah.
course, you're cleaning up. You don't expect that.
Yeah, and it's amazing the things that you do find when you're cleaning up. During our first lockdown, I did a bit of a clean up of my apartment and also in the spare room especially. And while going through everything, I found that I am the proud owner of 6 authentic Harry Potter wands.
Jeez.
Six.
I've not
Six.
bought one. Just people would go to Harry Potter World and go, let's get
I know
Nathan
what to get
a
Nathan.
wand. And they're all in gift boxes.
So
That's so funny, Nath, because every one of them are coming back and going, "Oh, we've got Nathan.
I've got Nathan
perfect."
perfect.
And you have to
Perfect.
go, "Oh yeah,
Yeah, I've got 3 Elders wands from the last one that Voldemort used to try and kill Harry. I've got 3 of those.
3.
so you've got 9 wands.
No. I've got 6. 3 of them are the
Oh,
same one.
okay, right. Sorry.
One's Harry's.
How many broomsticks?
I don't like sweeping or mopping, so that doesn't work with me. But yes, I own 9 Harry Potter wands. Single man.
That is amazing. That is amazing."
Yeah. Well, a lot of people when they're cleaning up, they find piles of
Yes.
money.
Yeah.
Money's exciting.
When our neighbours were, well, I guess their block was getting cleaned up because Nat, you used
So
to
I used to
live
live
at the
next
place.
door.
Oh, next door.
I used to live next door, and I would peer over the fence and get my friends to peer over the fence because it was amazing. Because an old man lived where your block is and the one next door, so they were divided into 2 after he passed away, obviously.
Yeah.
And there were just piles of things. There were car bodies. There were piles of timber that were higher than my head. There was a mountain of like glass flagons. So obviously, every time he finished his sherry, he would throw it on the pile. There were just piles of everything with like little walkways between them. So when I heard that there was money there, that did not surprise me at all.
Yeah, so the people cleaning up their block, Nate, how good's that? Now, our next door neighbours, obviously 2 split in half, and they found money on theirs.
How much? Like a pile of
I
money?
don't know, over $3,000.
Oh, that's exciting.
So then they ring us and they say, "Hey, we found some money." So it's clearly going to be on your side as
Yes.
well. We've got to look at, because you've got some builders that are coming to clear your
Yes.
land. Just got to be on the lookout because they might just pocket it. Anyway, would you believe there was no money found on my side?
Oh, that's so strange.
But your builder
Weirdo.
now lives in the
do you know
Bahamas.
what? Yes, I do believe there's never any money found on your side.
The Nathan, Nat and Sean podcast.
Imagine your front yard being so overgrown
Yeah.
that when it's finally cleared, they discover a van, a truck, and a car. that nobody knew were there, or they thought there was a van there.
Yeah.
That's it. But
Yeah.
a truck.
I know. We're talking about the things that you found when you're cleaning up. Hi, Adrian.
Hi, how are you guys?
Good,
Adrian.
Buddy. Okay, what happened when you cleaned up? What did you find?
So we actually found 2 things. We're renting a house in Canningvale. First thing we found was a secret room that had some green plants that the police needed to be called for.
Oh, wow.
Monsteras.
Yes, yes.
Did you keep the lights?
They're worth a fortune,
They are,
Nathan.
no, yeah.
Oh, there was lights. There was even a telephone line in there, and it was funnily enough, it was behind an inbuilt bookcase.
Oh, like in the
very
spy
secret.
movies.
Oh, could you smell it, by the
so-
Adrian, could you smell it when you walked into the house, or hadn't been able to penetrate the walls at that point?
No, it was a pretty good setup. It was you didn't know it was there. Even the real estate agent sort of said to us that they'd had the house for like 10 years and they had no idea it was there.
Was your power bill inexplicably high?
No, it was all disconnected, but there was still some shrubbery in there.
Some shrubbery.
Okay. And all of a sudden it
Well, that's a
disappeared,
bit
Nat.
confronting, and that is something you do really want to ring the police. Because it wasn't ours.
Yes, exactly.
Wasn't ours.
Yeah. Wow.
All right, what's the other thing you found?
So when we were getting the house demolished, or when they were demolishing it, they found a swimming pool that had a car in it.
A swimming pool.
This is all on the same block of land in Canningvale.
This sounds like just a wonderful little treat.
There's
this
so
house.
many questions about that.
So a
isn't there?
swimming pool with a car in it. So what sort of car
Yeah.
was it? A little hatchback?
I don't know. I
Yep.
just remember seeing them. No, actually, it was like I think it was like a Nissan, like a small wheelbase Nissan thing.
Yeah,
one of those
wow.
things.
So how did it get in there?
Or maybe
Did you
they
not-
figured they were going to fill it in anyway.
Well, they're
and they
gonna
wanted
just
to
chuck
get
a
rid of
car
the
in
car
there.
and to fill
Oh,
it
yeah,
up a
okay.
bit,
That would have
maybe.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we think happened. We think, or either that or it was stolen, and
Yeah.
given the fact that there was another room in the house.
Yeah,
It's disappointing
understand
that
it.
you never got a chance to use that pool when you were renting it yourself,
Yeah, I
Adrian.
know. Yeah.
Well, it's next to a shed. It would have been nice to,
Wouldn't it?
have a little bit of a springboard or something.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
It
yeah.
sounds like a beautiful property.
It does, doesn't it? Magical. Thanks, Adrian. Jeannie's in South Perth. Hello.
Hi.
Hi, Janie.
Janie, what did you find when you cleaned up?
So we're in a rental and we had to have our air conditioner service that's on the wall above our bed.
Yeah.
And what came out of the air conditioner in a little snap-seal flat bag with the hospital clip still on it was a child's umbilical cord.
Was in the air conditioning unit.
We're not sure. We don't know if it started life on top of the air conditioning unit, but it definitely wasn't on the air conditioning unit when we were there because, you would wipe it down for dust and everything.
Yes.
Oh, thank God it was in a plastic
out of
bag.
the unit.
Imagine if it wasn't in a plastic bag. You just had umbilical cord
Just
air being blown on you every day. Well, I suppose you know what? You wouldn't have aged. It would have just been stem cells, bathed in stem cells.
Cool stem cells. Beautiful. Thanks, Janie.
Well, that's a bit gross.
Lydia, hello.
Good morning.
Hey,
Hi,
Liz.
Lydia.
What did you find when you cleaned up, Lydia?
Well, a couple of years ago, my partner was having his car serviced, and the mechanics found inside his engine bay multiple dog bones. And I have a Pomeranian, and it ended up being that he used to hide under the car to get away from our other dog, and he climbed up into the engine bay and would chew his dog bones up there so nobody would take them.
Your
That is
Pomeranian would
amazing,
climb
that.
into your car engine and chew
the
bones.
engine bay.
The engine bay.
It's a Chrysler, so it was quite a big
Yes.
car, and he's quite small.
Wow, that
Amazing.
is amazing.
Aren't you glad you never drove off with him in there?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, when we were kids, we drove all the way from town, from our farm to town, so 40 Ks, with a cat in the engine bay. We stopped at the post office and the cat jumped out. We're like,
It's one hot cat because all that stuff gets hot.
yes, I know.
Nathan, Nat, and Sean.
Well, as we've seen over the last couple of weeks, no Eagles have been getting pants because the big man's been out. By the way, Jeremy, last time we spoke to you, you told us how good you were feeling. COVID really did nothing to you. You're about to play last weekend. Guess what, Nathan?
Web of
What happened?
lies.
What happened?
McGovern.
I know. We found out that Jeremy McGovern's a very good liar. Hello, Jeremy.
I don't know about that. I was at the time I was feeling great. Don't get me wrong.
What happened?
I've been sitting around my
Spiraled
house
downhill.
for 7 days. Oh, it was just everything was a bit close. I didn't get out until Thursday. Flew out Friday. I hadn't done any training. Obviously, I'm in isolation. I'm going to train in my front yard, like I said. So yeah, it was a bit risky, I think. Well, I was pretty keen to play, but the club was pretty keen on not playing me. So
It's just a
I
bit...
tried, guys. I wasn't lying to you. I was trying.
Yeah, I just want to say that we're building a new relationship here, and trust is a big thing.
Yeah,
so
and
like
you betrayed it.
and like now we're like going, does he really like us?
Yeah.
True.
Can we trust him?
Is all the things he's promising for the future real?
Yeah.
Is he in it for the long haul?
Yes, I am. Don't worry. No, it was out of my control.
Do you agree with the notion, no governor, no Eagles? That defence is pretty leaky
No,
without you.
definitely not. No, definitely not.
Oh, was
It
that
didn't
definitely
matter
yes?
Wow,
Take that to the press.
We'll cut that
Take
up
that
later.
to the press.
Yeah.
No, it didn't matter if I was out there. The ball's coming down there a fair bit. So I would have loved to have been out there and try and contribute, obviously. But, I think the way we're playing at the moment, it doesn't matter really who we got on our side. I feel like we're going to get beaten most weeks if we keep putting up those sort of numbers.
How are you going to turn it around, Jez?
Oh, it starts obviously on the track and getting everyone available as much as possible. And the last couple of weeks we sort of have had everyone available, so now it's just getting some running legs of a few boys. But the main thing is just the effort. It starts there with effort and work rate, and then from there you can sort of build your game around that. But if you don't get that on game day, it's very hard to execute.
How's Simo going? How's his mood?
Simo's been pretty good.
Oh, really?
All things considered, obviously, when you're starting a season like this, obviously the spotlight sort of comes on himself a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's been pretty enthusiastic, and he's just really been pushing, trying to get better every week. Like we are actually trying to do that. But he's been really good and trying to keep the vibe as good as possible in a terrible situation.
One of the things we've seen during the last couple of days is talk about Elliot Yeo, and it's come from Kane Corns over from the East Coast, just throwing barbs left, right and centre. We had a discussion about it yesterday.
Enrages me.
If you take an AFL field or any unprofessional sport, you're a pretty fit unit to start with.
Yeah. What do you feel about body shaming a footballer, Gov?
Yeah, look, I've to be honest, I've been on the end of it as well. I probably don't have the best rig myself, but Yeah, look, I'm not about it really.
Me neither.
We're there to play footy. I guess if you're judging him purely on his form, and I think that's fair enough. But I wouldn't be. Yeah, the way it sort of sounded is like you just throwing barbs out there and just seeing who can react. And
I mean, that's kind of what he does. So,
Yes, his stick. But, you know, Gov, you're right on the money. There to play football, and you are one of the ultimate guys who just goes out and plays footy and knows how to play the game. And I think when you were first brought into the West Coast Eagles, people would have questioned your athleticism and bits and pieces like that, but you just are a
Proof's
great player.
in the pudding.
Yeah, obviously everyone's got different skill sets and different. I know a lot of blokes who look really good and have great rigs, but they can't get a touch of the footy. So
That's me.
Yeah,
He's all wrist.
I wasn't going to name any names, but
I know, he gets embarrassed. You get
I just can't seem to get near the ball. It's weird.
But at the end of the day, we are out there to play footy, and obviously that is a part of footy is your fitness, and I guess if you want to look at people's body shapes, some people can, but as long as you're performing as well as you can, is probably my main objective and what I want to get out of Yowie. And I don't think he's looking too bad, but you got to understand his full circumstances. I think he hasn't had a pre-season in the last probably couple of years. It's very hard to be as fit as possible when you can't have a pre-season.
Yeah.
And Kane Corns, out of anyone, should probably know that, but he's forgotten pretty quick.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, well, the one thing we do know that is COVID swept through West Coast, and we're just talking about, people saying you get over it in 7 days, but really you don't. What is the lingering effects for you guys?
That's funny. I was thinking 7 days, and it's a cut off and you're done, and so I've had. It's been just a tough week, obviously running and getting your lungs back and breath back, but you're still a bit, blocked up a little bit.
Yeah.
A bit croaky, but it is what it is, and you definitely feel a lot better than when you do definitely have it, but it still lingers around a little bit.
Yeah, probably
bit
a
of
couple of
fatigue
weeks.
as well.
Oh, a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's just from not doing much for a week or so, but you always get a little bit of fatigue.
That's like when they were saying, when COVID first hit, and they said, one of the telltale signs is that you're feeling fatigued and tired. We're like, well that's how we feel all the time. So we've got what you call long COVID, 20-year COVID is what we've had. We're the originals. We're the outbreak monkeys.
Well, Gov, it's going to be a cracker tomorrow night at Optus Stadium in Richmond. Obviously, we can have a full crowd there, so I urge West Coast supporters to get there. Richmond supporters will be there because they get to see their team come to town. It's going to be
Trent Cotchin, no Dusty Martin.
No, and no Tarrant either. He's not going to play for the Richmond Tigers. They're giving those old buggers a bit of a rest. So hopefully, Gov, you'll be able to take care of the Tigers.
Yeah, mate, hopefully that's the plan. So I feel like we've had a pretty good week of prep, and Friday night footy is going to get better than that. So, hopefully all the fans can get down and it can be a good game.
Good on you, mate. Catch you next week.
Thanks, Gov.
Cheers, guys.
Bye, buddy.
You're listening to Nathan, Nat and Sean.
At a Cincinnati Reds and San Diego Padres ball game on Tuesday, something happened, I think, that a lot of fans would love to experience, and that is going to watch a sport, but then you leaving a hero as a spectator.
Yep.
New father Jacob Kingsley, he caught a foul ball in one hand while bottle feeding his infant, and he did it with absolute style.
Pumps it up. Nice job while feeding the baby. Wow. Holds the bottle, no spillage, baby in perfect bliss, and a souvenir. Nice.
Yeah.
It was contested as well. There was another guy in front of him going for it.
Yeah, a foul ball into the right field.
Yeah.
Jacob's wife, Jordan, she had been telling her husband to watch for fly balls throughout the game, afraid that her son Shepherd might get hit, but he was on it, and he was bottle feeding his baby at the time.
Didn't miss a beat.
One hand up, caught the ball. And we've never talked about this, but so many parents, of course, have experienced having a baby or a child in one arm and then having to just do things with the other. Sean, you've had 4 children, don't want to remind you.
Yeah. I remember I probably had a spill with all of them at some stage, but the best one that I've thought about recently was my mum and dad have they have like 6 acres or something. Anyway, their next door neighbour got horses. So my dad said, let's go over to John's house next door and we'll check out the horses. Bring Ollie with you. So I'm holding Ollie as a baby. And when we go through we just walk through a gated fence and then we're over there checking out the horses. And as you guys know, I stretch at any opportunity.
Yes, you do. Even with a baby in your arm.
Even in a baby in my arm. So I'm holding Ollie and I thought, bloody fence post. I'll have a back stretch over the fence post.
Yeah.
So I lean back and start stretching. It's an electric fence. This pulse shocks the life out of me. I just go flying. I've got him in one hand. I don't know how I held on to him.
It's probably better that you didn't hold on to him because you're electrocuting him too. You realise that.
Nathan, Nat and Sean in podcast form.
So we're very impressed by the guy who managed to catch a foul ball at the baseball.
He did.
Whilst bottle feeding his infant son.
That's right.
In one arm, reached up, caught the ball sort of over the top of someone else.
Yep.
Baby didn't miss a beat, just kept sucking on the bottle.
Less impressive was Sean
drink.
holding baby Cooper, stretching at his parents' property and getting electrocuted by the next door neighbour's fence.
Didn't drop the baby though.
There's some good things and some bad things can happen when you're holding a baby in one arm. Let's find out what happened with Amanda. Hi, Amanda.
Hi, how you going?
Great.
Good, Amanda. What have you got for us, Amanda?
Well, I was out for dinner with my folks in Sydney, and my dad may have had a few beers. We then went to the shops afterwards, and he put him in a trolley, one of those little mini trolleys, and went up and down the escalators. And we were just like, come on, Grumpy, that's enough, let's go. And he's like, one more. My son was loving it. Anyways, my mum and I were at the bottom of the escalator watching this all unfold, and suddenly the trolley has got caught on the escalator, and it all just tumbled out. In slow motion, I'm watching my son fall, and my dad just kind of landed on his back and dangled the baby by his T-shirt all the way down the escalator while the mum and granny are screaming at the bottom. And baby was totally fine, but my dad walked away with these big escalator mark scratches down his back.
Body on the line though.
Yeah, that's
so
true.
we saw a man catch a ball with a baby, but your dad caught the baby.
Yeah.
Caught the baby, and baby walked away with no injuries, but Dad definitely injured.
But your dad looked like he was one of the chapters in 50 Shades of Grey.
Yeah. he's not here on that. First of all, Dad put the baby in peril, and then he saved the baby.
The baby was loving it.
I mean, and as country kids, we can attest, Nathan, to the joy of riding the escalators when we came to the big city.
It was the reason to come to the city. Our parents would live, back in the day when they wouldn't really supervise us. My parents would,
because they were shopping.
They would go shop in the city and they would leave us at an escalator or an elevator, either or. But the esescalators were magical,
the best.
And then we would ride up and down. And they could be 5 hours, and they'd come back and we'd still be on them going, woohoo! Because it was stairs that moved. Like, Kalgoorlie didn't have it.
It was Dreamworld to us.
And the only elevator in Kalgoorlie was at the hospital. So the worst thing is when there's a medical emergency, the doctors are trying to grab a patient and take them to surgery, and the elevator would open up and be full of kids.
Did you flip your lid when you used to go to international airports and they have the escalators on the ground, just the flat ones?
Oh, yeah.
Sean, yes. Remember in the Korean, was it the Korean arcade that used to have the elevator that had the water going around it? That was amazing. You could have left me there for 5 days unsupervised, and my parents would know where I would be when.
And he was 25 at the time.
Oh, mate.
So loved it. Holly, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good, Holly.
Okay, what did you do? What happened with the baby in your arm?
So when I was on maternity leave, I took my son to my workplace for a baby gym class, and the coach taking the class had a family emergency 5 minutes in that she had to go and attend to.
Yes.
So I ended up coaching the rest of the class, holding on to my son.
So that was your job before maternity leave, I take it?
Well, I worked with the older kids usually, not the babies, but yeah.
So you just
got you to step. Yeah. While you're
Holly,
there, while you're here,
mate, let's go.
Dangerous, isn't it? Going back to your office when you're on mat leave and they just make you go to work.
Yes.
Yeah. Back in the day, you could go and put him in the car and crack a window.
Yeah, that's
Not
a great
anymore.
point. It's
Not
a great
anymore.
point.
This is a podcast of Nathan, Nat and Sean.
I will not have 800s or 600s.
They're literally talking about the size of eggs.
I just said, I will not. We're talking about how hard it is to get eggs at the moment. And I just said, I will not buy any eggs unless they're 800 grams or over.
I don't know anyone who...
They're emu eggs, Nathan.
Yeah. So there's 800 is the max.
800, which is the max.
Yes.
No, you can get 900. Yeah, but
what chook is squeezing out a 900?
Well, the one that's walking like a cowboy.
I will only get 700. 700, no 600.
Really? So 700 is your grams of your eggs.
But 800,
what's your grammage do you get?
I'll go anything. Like I'll go 600.
You play the field?
Yeah, I won't. I wouldn't. I never buy the 800. That just seems a bit excessive.
No, I need the 800. I don't know why in my head. Anything less is a waste of a crack.
I think the 600 is the same, Nat. Like on the other scale of things.
600 is
like,
that's just like a little tiny foiled Easter egg.
It's a quail egg.
Quail egg. Anyway,
pretty hard hitting chat this morning.
Nathan, Nat and Sean podcast.
Just going to head over to the AFLW, and a big shout out to Erin Phillips from the former Adelaide Football Club. So Erin has been a 2-time best and fairest of the AFLW.
Yeah.
She's a 3-time premiership player for Adelaide. She's an Olympian for Australia in basketball before that, and she played and won. She played in the WNBA, and she won WNBA titles before she played in the AFLW.
She's an amazing athlete.
She's
There's
amazing.
No doubt about it.
And you look at her physical
she's got a couple
appearance.
Of kids as well.
She's got a couple of kids.
Yeah.
She is like a professional athlete.
Yeah.
So her dad is a famous South Australian footballer. Port Adelaide, opposite to Adelaide, have not had a team in the AFLW until next season. Her dad was an 8-time premiership player for Port Adelaide.
Yeah, so he's like a legend.
He's a legend. Named centre-half back of the team of the century and all that kind of stuff. So Port Adelaide are going to have a team in the upcoming AFLW season. Everyone was waiting to see what happens if Aaron joins them. And I think this would be this was a moment yesterday, but such a proud moment for their family. She has decided to join Port Adelaide.
To be back here at a place that I call home with such amazing history, just walking across here just gives me goosebumps wearing these colours. So I'm so proud to be a part of the Port Adelaide Football Club.
Wow.
There's not the brother playing, not father-son, father-daughter.
I mean, why wouldn't you? You'd be treated like an absolute hero.
Yeah, that's right. there's footage of her when the AFLW first started, of her before they announced where the teams were going to be, which clubs would get teams in the first season, where she's saying, I can't imagine not wearing a Port Adelaide jumper. I won't play unless it's for Port Adelaide. And then literally 5 minutes later, she's wearing an Adelaide Crows jumper saying, I can't wait to play for the Crows. But it's clearly in her blood. And she was gagging. But there was a bit of criticism about whether she would go back there or not, or hang up the boots because she's... Well, how old is she?
37.
Yeah.
But she's such a high-performing athlete.
David Mundy.
She's a David Mundy.
Right. The David Mundy of
and I take my hat off to her because it's outstanding. And I'm so happy for her family to see her play and don the jumper that her dad once wore.
Oh, you're getting a bit emotional because Sonny's about to play footy again, isn't she?
Sonny's playing on Saturday.
Yeah.
By the way, kids' sports start underway. 7:45 a kick-off netball on Saturday.
So Sonny's rolling from netball straight into football as well.
Yeah.
Same day.
Oh, no, Sunday. So that's another early start.
Can't you just get Sonny to prop the iPhone up so you can just watch her? Like, you know what I mean? Like, we're FaceTime mummy and daddy.
We're not far away from that. And finally, as you could see in the paper, Ronaldo is coming to town. And it was mentioned before that Manchester United were going to come to Perth and play at Optus Stadium. Now, there's a number of other teams who are going to be a part of that, which is great. Crystal Palace is coming over, Leeds United. And is it West Ham as well? Coming over.
That's Honeyleg.
Sorry. That's actually really good, Nathan. I've really enjoyed that.
Thank you.
The amount of people that are going to go through the turnstiles at Optus Stadium is going to be amazing.
Yeah, but
the bombs will be out in force.
The state government has said they're committed to bringing full squads, right? So they've said that before, and we got the B team, didn't we? And they promised that Cristiano Ronaldo's coming over.
Well, he's got family here, so
but
did
he last time?
He hasn't been to Perth. No, well, apparently he's been to Perth. He has not been over here to play.
Yeah.
Will he come over here and play?
So just because he's got family here doesn't mean he's going to come over.
There's only the one thing that would drive him.
Here.
Yeah.
Where do they live? He would have bought their mansion.
They're in Munster / Spearwood.
Yeah, Yangebup Way. Yeah.
It would have to be in an amazing house, wouldn't it? Because, I mean, like, without them, he wouldn't exist.
That's true.
So I
But
would.
maybe
I would be like.
Maybe they were
buy me a
happy with the
mansion.
house that
Oh yeah,
they had.
no. But
Yeah.
Do yourself a favour and check out his doco. I think it's on Netflix. It's amazing, mate. And speaking of money, mate, he's got all of it.
So the clubs are going to set up their home venues. Manchester
pubs,
United will be at Peekabah. Leeds United will be at Gage Roads. Crystal Palace will be at the Leederville Hotel, and Aston Villa will be at Raffles.
Yeah, those places are going to be going
Aren't they
mental.
just?
The Nathan, Nat and Sean podcast.
I keep reading the news titles to what's happening between Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, but I don't really want to dive too much into it because as soon as I read a couple of paragraphs, I think you are both a bunch of grubs.
Yes. It's disgusting.
I know they're huge stars, but can we get that crap off the telly? Because it seems like it's in
And
your
also,
face.
just stop suing one another
It's
non-stop. God.
the mix was bad for both of you. You both seem to have done just as horrific things to each other. You should just cancel that relationship out. Like, keep the money that you've both got because you've both got enough money.
Yeah.
Stop throwing crap at each other.
Literal crap.
Move on.
I agree with you, mate.
And it's amazing that people are picking sides as well because I'm not on either of these sides.
No, they're both atrocious people.
Johnny Depp rolls into court the other day, Bob Marley blaring, and a whole bunch of people.
It's not a boxing match. What's he doing?
A whole bunch of people outside screaming for him, and even a woman with 2 support llamas saying, "We love you, Johnny," wrapped around their poor necks. This is him. This is him rolling in. 2
support llamas is too many, by the way. You only need one, you know what I'm saying?
If you have one support llama there, you got to have another support llama.
Back in the living room again.
You with me?
Thank you so much.
He's being accused of beating his partner.
Yes.
And you're in there screaming, "I love you." There's also the entire court is full of women
Yeah,
that
I
are
know.
Johnny Depp's fans.
Yeah, I know.
And every time Amber Heard says something, they basically laugh in her face. Get out of these people's business.
Also, get a life. What are you doing?
Do you not think that the mansion or wherever they stayed, the houses they live, don't you reckon they were just filthy?
Oh, they would have spray
They are
painted
those
the wall.
rich people that are dirty, and you don't deserve to be in that
Well,
house.
in Australia, it was Mick Doohan's house.
Aussie Mick
Oh,
Doohan.
you would
Yeah,
love
yeah.
every inch of that
Where was it?
house.
Eastern Creek.
That was one of the Gold Coast. It's for sale for
yeah.
40 million.
I know, that's amazing. Yeah, I got no time for him. When do you reckon the last time Johnny Depp was sober? Because when I see him in that stand giving evidence and talking the way he does, I'm like, mate, this guy is off his trolley.
Sean, I don't think that can be answered.
No, that's right.
This is Nathan, Nat and Sean.
Staggered Comedy headed our way for the Perth Comedy Festival, which is brilliant, including Irish comedian David O'Doherty, but the man himself, here he is. Hello, David.
Well, hello.
Ew, there's nothing worse than a COVID-y comedian.
I am testing clear now. I'm in the shape of my life during those.
Okay, that's what you're saying.
How were you during the thick of it?
It was more the boredom of just being on your own, especially with a comedy festival going on, like literally outside your window. It was like, do you know when Oliver Twist, the movie, where he's looking out at all the street traders, or who will buy this wonderful feeling? It was like that, but I was trapped.
Hey, David, we're hearing that you need to get out of your hotel this morning. Are you getting kicked out? It's past the time that you should have checked out already.
Oh, it's 30 minutes past that time. But,
late checkout.
You know, I told them a series of lies, but now my lies are catching up with me because I have to go to the airport soon. But hey, it's okay. It's fine.
Okay, can I hear some of the series of lies?
Yes.
I love a good fib.
So I did say I have COVID at one point.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Probably not what they want to hear then as regards me just coming down to reception afterwards. And also, it doesn't... It's not meant to slow you down as regards checking out. Guys, I don't have COVID anymore. We need to make this very, very clear.
That's a really good point. Now I've got to get to the airport. Hurry up.
That's
now,
right.
joking.
That's right. And he's playing shows in Perth this weekend. He's fine. He's clear.
Yeah.
What else did you use?
I also need to say that I managed to do like 10 gigs at the Melbourne Festival and get COVID then. And any comedian who's performing in front of audiences and doesn't get COVID at the moment, I would say the audience maybe aren't laughing enough, and that comedian needs to take a look at their work.
That's a great point. It's the sudden expulsion of virus particles because they're laughing so hard.
Really good point.
Is that right?
Wow, I didn't know you were a scientist. But yes, that
Thank
is
you.
exactly the
Many things.
technical term.
Hey, David, when you were in isolation in your hotel, did you whip out your little organ? I mean, I'm sure you did.
Keyboard.
Your keyboard. Did you whip that out and giving
my goodness.
your neighbours a treat?
Yeah, I'd say a lot of listeners have this, which is I got obsessed with really specific YouTube rabbit holes. So I used to work in a bike shop, so I am still obsessed, but there's a lot of old men, adorable old men who have a camera on their forehead and fix bikes really slowly. You can watch it for hours and hours. And then one of the weirdest holes I ever went down was there's another thing in the north of England, which is, again, it's old men with cameras in their foreheads, and they go to rivers and they look for like broken bits of pottery, and they pick it up and they're like, oh, that's definitely like a Viking pot.
Viking,
and you're like, yeah, right, it is. Yeah,
It's from Audi.
That is amazing.
There, on that camera on the head thing, there was the funniest video of this old man, and he did the same thing, and he was on a train, and he was looking out into the majestic thing of the train, but he had the GoPro facing his head. So the entire time was a video of him looking outside of a train saying, oh, look at that
Look
now.
at that.
Oh, coming up here, there's this. And it was just his face.
See, you watched that, didn't you?
I had an amazing revelation. I spoke to my parents a lot, my adorable 83-year-old parents, who I actually spent a lot of the pandemic with. But a revelation from my mother this week is, so she is your classic, she just asks me tech advice. That's all our relationship is generated into. And when I say, Mum, your computer's not working, you have to close the windows, she goes around closing the windows in the house. It's that sort of adorable thing.
That's
my God.
So the revelation this week was, so I said I had to do a Zoom. And she was like, oh, great, because I didn't think you were well enough for that. I was like, no, it's fine. It's just a Zoom. And she's like, but you have to dance around, don't you, for a Zoom? And then I was like, what?
Oh, she's talking about Zumba.
She was talking about Zumba.
Oh, my God.
That is the last year when everyone says I have to do a Zoom.
She thinks everybody's really fit to a Latin beat.
Yeah, that's right. God, I didn't see the body on David now.
Remember years ago when we first heard about Pilates, I thought Pilates was spelling words out with your body. Like making a K and an L because it was on a special K ad. And I thought, oh, well, that's what Pilates is.
You did too.
Which was no good for Nathan because he can't spell very well. So it was problematic.
Hey, but thinking back, there were days when I was like, Mom, I've got 4 Zooms this afternoon.
Yes.
So she must have thought he's doing 4 Zumba classes.
He is a fitness freak.
Yeah, you are. Hey, David, I want to ask you about the books you've written and kids' books in particular, because we've had a few people who have come on in recent times, and you thought, what are you doing? Like, they're just putting some kind of book together, and it seems like they mashed it up in about 45 seconds. Now, does it take a while to actually do a kids' book properly?
No.
Yeah. So I have been writing kids' books longer than I've been doing stand-up, and for every stand-up gig I do, I probably do a kid's gig, and this has been the way for like 20 years.
Yeah.
And so I always feel that those, like a lot of celebs exactly throwing out crappy children's books, they need to go in the trenches and do the actual readings for the kids, because the kids just tell you if your book is bad. They just come straight out. And so what I always think of was, so there's a 4-year-old in my very first ever children's book reading. He just said, does this get good soon? He stopped me that straight up.
What a great critic.
That
sounds fun. What's the secret? Because, I mean, from what my observation is that you have to put a bum or a fart in it, from what I've seen of children's books lately. Is that the go-to, or what have you found to be effective?
I mean, all I try and think about when I'm writing, because I write kind of longer books for sort of 8-year-olds recently. I've written it for a few different age groups, but with 8-year-olds, I just want to try and keep you awake. Mm-hmm. Like I remember, it happened about 4 or 5 times when I was that age, where I'd be reading some book, and like my dad would knock on the door, see the light on under my door, and be like, go to sleep. So I'm just trying to put in loads of cliffhangers and loads of interesting stuff. Yeah, maybe the odd fart joke then as well. Yeah, but it's a fairly sophisticated audience. And also the fact that most 8-year-olds now have access to an iPad as well. Sometimes you have to be more interesting than the internet.
Yes.
And that's difficult.
I mean, it's a big ask.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you know what? He's just
More interesting
He does a
than
lot
a
of
video.
stuff. No.
the talent we have here is unbelievable. I'm so glad that COVID didn't wipe him out.
I know. So you spent most of the pandemic on an island with your parents, is that right?
Yeah, we. I mean, it went bad in Europe at the start with Italy and all of that.
course.
And Dublin wasn't looking well. And my parents, they're 83, and between them have every known underlying condition.
Yes.
Like when they used to talk about underlying conditions on the radio, it was like bingo in the car
Yes.
with Jim and Ann.
Yep.
So we toddled off to this remote island where my granny had lived.
Yes.
Which is mostly just full of angry sheep. We went there for a month and ended up staying there for 8 months.
8
Then
months.
afterwards,
So what's there?
Ria, what did you do?
there's a mountain. There's 25-foot basking sharks just off the coast.
Yeah.
I mean,
Wow.
sometimes you just think this is too much nature. Like on the same day that I was almost bitten by a Connemara pony, I was bumped by a shark in the ocean. I just remember thinking, take me back to the city, just screaming at them. I was once on breakfast television with Dua Lipa. Now I'm here.
I was once on breakfast television with Dua Lipa.
Did the basking shark, was the basking shark familiar with Dua Lipa's work, or?
So was it?
Where's the
Was it
island?
just a long walk every day? We just get up and go for a walk, or did you
Yeah.
have like chores?
Did you have to tend the
do,
fields
or-
and dig up the potatoes or something?
We did. We planted. That's how long we were there. We were there for the entire planting and harvesting of vegetables. No, the basking sharks didn't care much for Dua Lipa. They like New Rules, but not
Okay,
the
right.
Well, everyone
Okay,
does.
yeah.
It's a great song.
But no, I'd go for walks, and then because there's a lot of storms at that time of year, I'd find stuff that was washed up. I always thought that I was going to find something, that was going to, like a sign, like, Tom Hanks in that movie where he finds the volleyball.
Yes.
I thought I was gonna
Wilson.
find-
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then all I found, I hope I can say this on the radio,
Yeah.
I found a fleshlight. Like it was washed up.
And we're not talking about a torch, everybody.
Sean, you
It's
lost
a
that.
Different vowel there.
It's amazing how far they travelled, David.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the ocean is the only thing that was really strong enough to wash it, wasn't it, Sean? And so you watching things wash up on the beach, that's where your obsession for the YouTube videos of watching old men
Fix
pick
bikes.
up pottery and stuff out of rivers.
Yeah, it is funny that I managed to avoid it for 2 years and then finally come to Australia and be like, I'm free at last, and then immediately get it. But it's okay. It was nice. My main concern was giving it to my mum and dad, and that certainly
Of course.
didn't happen while I was sitting in
not
a
out there.
hotel
A lot of
room.
people, a lot of people, though, say once they've made that change in their life, the sea change, so to speak, which you did, then
They don't want to go
I'll
back.
never come back. But were you yearning to get back into
To the bright lights.
Well, the flashlight was the thing calling him back to the city.
Okay. All right, there's the answer then.
Yeah. Just his mouth
was.
open going, come home.
Oh, God. Because, when I used to find stuff on the beach, because my parents aren't that mobile, sometimes I would take it back up and be like, look what I found. And that was one of those situations where, like, I could have told them I think it was a vase or something, but it's just
Imagine
for one.
coming home and your grandmother has rammed some flowers in it. And it's sitting there during dinner.
It's a great use for it, Sean. Isn't it?
And the flowers are just smiling, going, woo!
Of course they are.
Well,
I definitely, I thought so much about comedy because, like, just comedy was the last thing that was coming back for a long
Yes.
time, especially because, like, they were really worried about laughter and laughter in groups. And, like,
Yeah.
laughter wasn't the best medicine in many ways. And so I thought so much about this. And the fact that, so I had a Perth gig booked in 2020,
Yes.
so I was about to come here, and I love touring around Australia, and then everything stopped. So while, I did it, I enjoyed the time on the island. I was always thinking, God, I hope I can go back and do what I love one day. And
I hope one day I can go to the Regal Theatre again.
Yeah,
Oh, my God.
We're actually looking at a picture of you on the Regal Theatre right now.
Yes, we're right across the road.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing that we all together went through real life Footloose where we lived in a world where they banned dancing?
Yes.
It's so strange. Because remember, Footloose, like a town will never ban dancing and like the entire
the world
country
did.
did. So weird.
Go to abandoned warehouses.
Well, there was a bad moment where they said that laughter is dangerous, and then they were like, and singing is dangerous as well. So all that left for me was just talking that's not funny. It was like just pure
spoken
head talk. Is that going to be the future?
Talk.
Just really dull, banal chit-chat. Thank you so much for talking to us.
Thanks for having me.
Bye, David.
Nathan, Nat and Sean is a Nova podcast. For more great comedy shows like this, head to novapodcasts.com.au.